Near the end of the Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne has escaped from prison and made his way to freedom in Zihuatanejo, Mexico. He leaves behind a letter for his friend Red, who's still serving his life sentence. In that letter, Andy writes, "Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." But earlier in the film, Red had warned Andy about hope with very different words. Let me tell you something, my friend. Hope is a dangerous thing. Hope can drive a man insane. It's got no use on the inside. Two men, two perspectives on hope. One sees it as life-giving. The other sees it as a recipe for madness. So which one is right? Welcome to Stuff I Learned Yesterday. I'm Daryl Darnell, and this is episode 679, Hope in the Unseen. I hope my Oklahoma City Thunder win the NBA championship again this year, and I believe that if you aren't learning, you aren't living. Last month, we examined faith in episode 674, and today we're continuing our three-part series based on 1 Corinthians 13:13, which says, "And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love." In February, we'll look at love, but today we put hope under the microscope. Here's the thing about Red's warning. He wasn't entirely wrong. The kind of hope he was talking about really can drive you crazy. When hope is nothing more than wishful thinking, when it's built on maybe and possibly and I sure wish things would get better, that kind of hope will absolutely crush you when reality comes crashing in. We see this kind of crushing hopelessness everywhere today. Mental health statistics paint a grim picture. Anxiety and depression rates have skyrocketed. Suicide rates continue to climb, especially among young people. And when you dig into the research, one common thread emerges: a profound sense of hopelessness. A feeling that things won't get better, that the future holds nothing worth anticipating. But here's where things get interesting. The Bible talks about hope constantly. It's mentioned hundreds of times across both testaments. Yet the hope the Bible describes seems fundamentally different from the fragile, fingers-crossed kind of hope that Red warned about. So what's going on here? The answer lies in something most English readers of the Bible never discover. Our single English word, hope, translates multiple Greek words that mean very different things. And understanding this difference doesn't just clear up confusion, it can literally transform how you face the future. In 1 Timothy 3:14, the Apostle Paul writes, "I hope to come to you soon." And the Greek word he uses here is elpizon, which means to hope for, expect, or trust in something. And this is normal hope. This is exactly how we use the word in everyday conversation. I hope the weather's nice tomorrow. I hope I get that promotion. I hope my team wins the big game. And there's nothing wrong with this kind of hope. It's a natural part of the human experience. But notice something important. This hope is always involving uncertainty. Paul hoped to visit Timothy soon, but he couldn't guarantee it. Circumstances might change, plans might fall through. This hope lives in the realm of possibility, not certainty. But there's another Greek word translated as hope in our English Bibles, and it carries a radically different meaning. That word is elpis. And when you understand what elpis means, everything changes. Elpis doesn't mean wishful thinking or uncertain expectation. It means confident expectation for good. It's not hoping for something that might happen. It's hoping in something that will absolutely, certainly, guaranteed, without question, happen. It's not maybe. It's not I wish. It's I know. And think about the difference this way. Elpizon hope says, I hope my flight doesn't get canceled. Elpis hope says, I know the sun will rise tomorrow. One is uncertain. The other is certainty about the future. And this is the kind of hope God offers, and it shows up throughout Scripture. In Jeremiah 29:11, God declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And that word hope in Hebrew carries the same weight as elpis. It's not confident expectation. It's not wishful thinking. In Jeremiah 31:17 echoes this. So there is hope for your descendants. Your children will return to their own land. Again, this isn't maybe your children will return. It's certainty. It's guaranteed. It's elpis hope. And that's exactly what happened. Jeremiah wrote those words between 605 BC and 586 BC, and the Jews began returning to their land in 539 BC. But here's the question that separates empty optimism from genuine biblical hope. What makes this kind of certainty possible? What foundation could possibly support such confident expectation about the future? The answer is resurrection. 1 Peter 1:3 says, "Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead." Did you catch that? Our hope, our elpis, our confident expectation is rooted in a historical event that has already happened. This connects directly back to our discussion about faith last month. Remember how we established that biblical faith isn't blind belief, but trust based on evidence. And the same principle applies to biblical hope. Our hope isn't wishful thinking about something that might happen. It's confident expectation based on something that already did happen. Jesus rose from the dead. That's a historical claim that either happened or didn't. And if it happened, if the tomb really was empty, if the witnesses really did see him alive, if the resurrection really occurred, then everything changes. Because if God kept his promise to raise Jesus from the dead, then we can trust him to keep every other promise he's made. The past validates the future. Historical reliability creates future confidence. The resurrection isn't just one doctrine among many. It's the foundation that makes elpis hope possible. Without the resurrection, we're back to elpison hope at best. We're left crossing our fingers and wishing things turn out okay. We're stuck with Red's version of hope, the dangerous kind that drives you crazy when it doesn't deliver. But with the resurrection, everything changes. Suddenly, we're not hoping for God to show up. We're hoping in a God who already has shown up, who already has conquered death, who already has proven his promises are trustworthy. Biblical hope isn't the same as positive thinking or optimism. Optimism says things will probably work out. Biblical hope says God's promises will absolutely work out because he's already proven his faithfulness through resurrection. This distinction matters enormously for both our mental health and our theology. On one hand, we live in a culture drowning in hopelessness. People desperately need something more substantial than think positive thoughts or good vibes only. Toxic positivity doesn't help when you're facing cancer or bankruptcy or crushing loss. What helps is hope anchored in reality, confident expectation based on proven promises. On the other hand, some Christian teaching has cheapened biblical hope into a kind of spiritual vending machine. Name it and claim it. Believe hard enough and God has to deliver. That is not elpis hope. That's manipulation disguised as faith. Biblical hope doesn't demand that God change our present circumstances. It trusts that God has secured our future outcome. The Apostle Paul understood this perfectly. He faced beatings, shipwrecks, imprisonment, and constant danger. His circumstances were often terrible. Yet in Romans 5:3-5, he wrote, "We also glory in our sufferings because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame because God's love has been poured out into our hearts." Notice Paul didn't say suffering means we're doing something wrong or lacking faith. He said suffering actually produces hope. Not because we're pretending things are fine, but because we're anchoring ourselves in promises that extend beyond our current pain. This is the hope the world desperately needs to see. Not fake smiles plastered over real suffering, not denial of present hardship, but genuine, confident expectation that the God who raised Jesus from the dead can be trusted with our future, no matter what our present looks like. And so here's where both skeptics and believers need to wrestle with some hard questions. For the skeptic, what if the thing you've dismissed as wishful thinking is actually rooted in historical reality? Have you actually examined the evidence for the resurrection, or have you just assumed it's been debunked? Because here's the thing, if Jesus really did rise from the dead, then biblical hope isn't delusional. It's the most rational response possible to that reality. You might look at Christians and assume we're engaging in make-believe to feel better about morality. But what if we're actually responding to evidence? What if the resurrection really happened and the confident expectation we call hope is simply the logical conclusion of that historical fact? Are you willing to investigate with intellectual honesty before dismissing it? And for the believer, are you living with Elpa's own hope or with Elpa's hope? Does your anxiety level match someone who has confident expectation of good? Or does it reveal that you're actually trusting in your circumstances more than God's promises? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Many of us believers say we have hope, but we live like we're stuck with wishful thinking. We claim to trust God's promises, but our worry levels suggest that we're not really convinced. The call isn't to fake it or pretend you're not struggling. The call is to anchor deeper into that resurrection reality that makes genuine hope possible. Biblical hope doesn't mean ignoring your present suffering or pretending your circumstances don't hurt. It means understanding that present suffering, as real as it is, doesn't determine your future outcome. Your hope isn't based on your situation improving. Your hope is based on God's character and proven promises. So, what does this look like practically? It means when you're facing uncertainty, you don't have to manufacture false confidence or pretend you're not afraid. Instead, you anchor yourself in what you know to be true. God raised Jesus from the dead. That historical fact guarantees that he keeps his promises. Your current circumstances are temporary. His promises are eternal. It means when anxiety threatens to overwhelm you, you don't just try to think more positive thoughts. You remind yourself of the evidence. You revisit the resurrection. You remember that the same power that raised Christ from the dead is available to you. You exchange Elpa's own hope for Elpa's hope. It means when someone asks you where your hope comes from, you don't just offer shallow platitudes. You point them to history. You invite them to investigate the evidence. You show them that biblical hope isn't blind faith or wishful thinking. It's the confident expectation based on proven reliability. Here's what I learned. The world is desperate for hope, but it's been offered so much false hope, so much empty optimism, so much just believe in yourself. It's nonsense that many people have given up entirely. They've concluded, like Red, that hope is dangerous and drives people insane. What they need to see is Elpa's hope. Hope that doesn't crumble when circumstances get hard. Hope that doesn't require ignoring reality or pretending everything's fine. Hope that stands firm because it's built on the solid foundation of resurrection. And this is your opportunity. Whether you're a skeptic investigating these claims or a believer trying to live them out, the question is the same. Will you anchor your life in confident expectation based on God's proven promises, or will you settle for the fragile, circumstantial hope that the world offers? Because here's what Andy Dufresne got right in that letter to Red. Hope really is a good thing, maybe the best of things, but only when it's the kind of hope that's the right kind of hope. Only when it's Elpa's hope. Only when it's confident expectation anchored in the God who has already proven himself trustworthy through resurrection. Red eventually made it to Zihuatanejo. He found Andy on that beach in Mexico, and the two friends were reunited in freedom. Red's closing words in the movie capture something beautiful. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope. By the end of his journey, Red had discovered that hope wasn't dangerous after all. But the hope that saved him wasn't the kind he'd warned against in prison. It was hope based on something real, a friend who had kept his promises, a future that was genuinely waiting for him. The only hope that can sustain you through the darkest valley is the hope that's already walked out of the darkest tomb. How great, how powerful is that certain hope we have in a God who conquered death itself. I'm Daryl Darnell, and this has been Stuff I Learned Yesterday. Well, I want you to be a part of the next Monday Mailbag coming up on March 30th. Monday Mailbag is your opportunity to share what you've learned so that other listeners and I can learn from you. It can be a message as short as 30 seconds, or it can be several minutes long. It really doesn't matter, just as long as it's something that will benefit others. You can send in questions or responses to my SILY episodes, and I'll respond to them via Monday Mailbag episodes. You can participate in Monday Mailbags by visiting the Golden Spiral Media listener feedback page at goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback, or send me an email at feedback@goldenspiralmedia.com.